This is Thomas Lyons from Raps on TV. I'm fortunate to be joined on the phone by none other than 7-0 unbeaten protege of Frank Warren and MTK, Troy Williamson. How you doing today, Troy?
I'm all good, pal. How's yourself?
Yeah, great to have you on the channel, champ, and I'm sure the Raps on TV viewers are looking forward to this discussion about. Obviously, there's several things to talk about. Obviously, you being teamed up with the best management company in the business at the moment, it seems, with MTK, and obviously with Frank Warren Promotions, and 7-0 unbeaten middleweight. Obviously, thriving time to be a middleweight at the moment. Obviously, domestically. And your ambitions obviously for the next few years, and obviously targeting those major titles. So just to start off, Troy, obviously you've mentioned to me there that you've been taking a few weeks off with training, obviously taking over in the gym, waiting for another date. Could you just talk us through sort of what could be in the pipeline next?
I had a phone call today. Possibility I could have been on the Windsor Park show August 28th. Like you say, obviously I'm not in the gym, so that's out of the that's out of reach. I won't be boxing on that show, but hopefully I'll be out late September, early October. I'd like to be out.
Yeah, and are you looking to give yourself, say, maybe an 8 to 10 week training camp, or what's the duration of camp? Obviously for
I could be ready within 8 weeks, or at least if I've got 8 weeks notice, I can get in the shape of my life. So
yeah.
between 8 and 10 weeks would be ideal.
That's great to hear, and obviously at Raps on TV we like to sort of start the fighters off of where they've obviously come from and how they've been introduced to the sport of boxing. So what's the backstory to Troy Williamson? Like how were you involved? Who was like your most influential person to get you into the sport of boxing, Troy?
I don't really. I started boxing when I was 10-year-old.
Yeah.
Obviously you can't compete till you're 11. I got a little bit bored of it, just training, so I went back to playing football. I was quite a decent footballer.
Yeah.
But 4 brothers, so obviously we all do different sports. One's a rugby player, the other 2 are footballers. So I was playing football for 21st All Stars, just a local team. Played for them till I was 15, 16, and then I just bumped into one of my dad's old friends. He mentioned there was a local boxing gym opening around the corner.
Yeah.
Why don't you give it a go? So I went round, and then ever since then I've just stuck in. I've loved the sport.
Yeah, and obviously with boxing, there's so many different aspects. Obviously, some people do it for the discipline side. Some people do it from obviously not being brought up in an area or a neighborhood that's been privileged with great opportunities. And so, what's like what's drove you the most to obviously become a professional boxer? Troy, like what is sort of spurred you on to to get to as far as where you've got now?
It's a bit of everything, really. It's, like you said, it's the discipline side. When I was a young kid, I was hanging out the streets. I wouldn't have said I was a naughty kid, but I was hanging in with the wrong crowd. So, like you said, the discipline side. Obviously, it's a great lifestyle. It keeps me off the street. Keeps me hanging about. I just want to make it really and get out of the little town I'm in. It's not like, I'm not saying it's a bad town. It's a lovely little town. It's got some great people, but there's too many fakes about, really. I just need to get up there and climb the ladders and then move on with life, really.
Yeah, of course, and it's great to see that you've obviously opened up. You're giving an honest account of obviously what you've done so far, your journey in the boxing game, and obviously trying to set yourself as a role model for your town, and obviously being close, being brought up in an area. It's nice to obviously have someone that's doing well for themselves and really being ambitious and trying to reach the pinnacle of the sport. So is that the ultimate goal in boxing for you, Troy, to become a world champion and reach the pinnacle of the sport?
Yeah, 100%. I think that's everybody. If you're not in the sport to become number one, then like why be in the sport? Do you know what I mean? You're only in boxing to get to the pinnacle and be a world champion. So it's obviously I've got a big family. There's 11 siblings, so there's 5 boys, 6 girls. It's not like we were brought up with a lot of money, so it'd be nice just to get get to the top, make a lot of money as well, and give back to obviously your
Yeah.
parents and everybody that needs it.
Yeah, of course. And obviously, you've touched on there, 7-0, unbeaten, climbing the ladder. Obviously, sooner rather than later, you'll be looking to top.
One step at a time, we're getting there.
Yeah. And obviously, being 7-0, obviously, there's going to be a transition point, when you do start to, step up the ladder. Obviously, domestic scene is booming at the moment with, obviously, Jason Wellborn defeating Tommy Langford for the British title. Obviously, you got the likes of Mark Heffron, another Frank Warren promoted fighter. There's so many different sort of promoters at the moment with a depth stable of middleweights.
Yeah, 100%. British boxing's booming at the minute. Like it's middleweight. Middleweight's, in my opinion, is probably the best division there is at the minute. British level, world level. Some great fights out there, and some great fights to be made by with myself. Like you said, with all the other fighters that you just mentioned. Frank Warren's got a couple of middleweights, so
yeah.
Obviously my next fight's looking to be a big fight on a big platform, so that'll be my breakthrough fight. I'll overcome that.
Yeah.
That's it. The world's my oyster.
Yeah, of course. And do you feel that that's what you need now? Obviously, stepping up, in your 8th professional fight, having that platform to elevate your career, send you into sort of getting those big fights domestically.
Yeah, 100%. I think there's I've seen a lot of people who are tipping me for big things. So I think it's only time. Time will tell. And obviously, I think once I've got the opportunity, I'll grasp it with both hands. So once I get that breakthrough fight, I think that'll be it.
Yeah. And how important is it, Troy, that you've obviously got the backing of MTK? I mean, gone through the roof at the moment. So he signed some of the most elite level fighters in the world. Obviously got Tyson Fury, Billy Joe Saunders. I mean, the accolades of MTK Global at the moment, obviously branching out with MTK London, they just seem to be spreading across the country. So how important has it been to have their backing to be able to guide you through this phase of your career?
Yeah, it's unbelievable. I'm blessed to have such a great team behind me. Obviously, I keep in contact with them on a regular basis, and they have big hopes for me. So it's only right we fulfill them dreams. Like you say, they're taking over. They've taken over like MMA. It won't be long before they're starting to sign football players.
Yeah,
yeah. Now they're taking over. Like you say, it's the biggest management team in the world.
Yeah, and I mean, touching on that domestic scene, obviously the names I've mentioned, is next year a realistic possibility when you want to start targeting for those Commonwealth British titles?
Yeah, 100%. I think I'm not too far off that level yet. Like you say, obviously it's a completely different game, amateur to professional. But I was boxing in the elite amateurs, so I don't see why not jump in with the elite professionals.
Yeah.
I think I'm only a couple of fights away before mixing it with any middleweight in Britain.
Yeah, of course. And obviously, you touched on that the amateur experience you've had, obviously sparring with top names. I mean, in and around your division. How much do you think that experience is going to help you, stand you in good stead for when you do obviously meet under the bright lights against these sort of guys?
Yeah, that's what it's all about. Sparring. You learn everything in sparring. You can run 15 miles. You can hit the bags as long as you want. So once you're in that ring, that's when shit gets real, and that's where you learn everything in sparring. So I've sparred some very good names, and they will put me in good stead for when I'm challenging for titles over long distance rounds as well.
Yeah. And obviously making that that traditional sort of progression as you go through the ranks, obviously Southern area, Commonwealth, English, British, European fringe, world level. I mean, touching on the world scene at the moment, obviously got a fellow Brit of ours, Billy Joe Saunders, being mandated to fight Demetrius Andrade for the WBO title. If that fight does come to fruition, Troy, who do you see winning that fight?
Quality operator. I know he was at like middleweight.
Yeah.
I don't know if he'd be a big middle. I'm not really sure, but I think Billy Joe Saunders got skills. He's got all the skills in the world. So, and I think if you're in there with him, I think very, very awkward. But yeah, I'm looking forward. I didn't know that myself, to be honest with you, so it's got me a little bit excited. I'll have a little look into that.
Yeah.
I look forward to seeing that fight. It's a good fight.
Well, I mean, I think Billy Joe was sort of setting his plans on, at this sort of final hurdle of his career, having the big fight similar to James DeGale, and I think those two were tipped to fight each other in September. But I think Billy Joe has sort of, opened up his options. He's obviously said that, he'd like the DeGale fight, obviously having shared numerous rounds with DeGale in the GB setup. But I mean, in terms of with the WBO and the various governing bodies and their demands, I mean, it could sort of swing either way. But I mean, if that all British domestic fight does happen between Saunders and DeGale, do you think the size advantage of DeGale will play a huge part in the fight?
Yeah, I'd say so. If I had to pick a winner, I'd probably back James DeGale for that one. If it was that swing over.
Yeah. And obviously the big fight that everyone's sort of captivated by in the middleweight division is Golovkin and Canelo. Obviously having the rematch after the controversy of Canelo's failed drug test. Do you think that the failed drug test, was he testing positive for clenbuterol, sort of overrode the whole sort of time that's been given for the promotion and the marketability of this huge fight?
If he's being tested for a banned substance, he should be banned. You know what I mean? Like, it's banned substance for a reason. Like, one boxer can't test positive and get banned for so many fights or so many years, and then one boxer can't. It's one rule or no rule, in my opinion.
Yeah. And do you think the ban was possibly too lenient? Obviously, only 6 months for when we kind of put into perspective, there's such grave incidences that kind of happen in the sport, with obviously some fighters sadly passing away, and the damage that can be done if fighters have an upper advantage with these substances. I mean, it doesn't set a good example for those coming up through the sport, and it sort of takes away that fairness of
100%, like you say, we're in one of the it's probably the dangerous sport in the world, and you're getting fighters that are taking banned substances to give them the extra little. Like, I don't see why they're taking them. Like, what the gain from it, or you know what I mean? Like, deep down, they know they're cheating. So
yeah.
you know what I mean? I've got no explanation to it, to be honest. I think it's disgusting what they're doing.
Yeah.
So they could take. You see people dying, people getting serious injuries, and all because they have to try and cheat to get the win.
Yeah, I suppose for a pound note as well. I think that's a lot of what's kind of played into it. But yeah, I mean, in terms of the first fight, obviously there was a lot of controversy surrounding the scorecards, and obviously with the fight being hosted on a home network with Golden Boy, and obviously being on Cinco de Mayo weekend. Do you feel now in the rematch that Golovkin's going to need to sort of force the pace more and try and get the stoppage to obviously beat Canelo?
Yeah, I'm backing Canelo. If I'm honest, I think Canelo I think they'll do it this time around.
Yeah, I think. Well, I mean, in terms of it going to points, I mean, I can't really see Golovkin getting the decision unless it's a conclusive victory. But
I think Golovkin will be out there and he'll try and prove a point with him, like failing the drug test the first time around. I think he'll be in there, and I think he'll try and take him out. But I think, like you say, Canelo's obviously he's got skills as well, and obviously he'll know how to survive. He's very tough, so I can't see neither of them getting knocked out or stopped.
Yeah. And back to you, Troy. Obviously, just to finish off, what's your ambitions for the next 12 to 18 months? Obviously, we touched on there. You're taking it step by step, level-headed, feet firmly on the ground. Obviously, with the guidance of your team, they're going to obviously choose the right steps for you. But personally, from a fighter's perspective, where do you want to see yourself in the next 12 to 18 months?
Definitely at the top of British level, fighting for some sort of titles. Definitely.
Yeah. Brilliant. That's great to hear that, obviously you're taking it a step at a time, patient obviously with what you're doing at the moment, taking over in the gym. It's great to see that you're obviously keen on getting the big fights on the biggest stage, and obviously with the backing of MTK and Frank Warren, I'm sure these will come to fruition. So is there anyone you want to specifically give a shout out to, any sponsors, any sort of people have been with you from the start that you kind of owe credit to for getting you to this stage of your career?
Yeah, I want to. First of all, I want to thank MTK for obviously backing me and having a lot of faith in me. Like thank my sponsors. Got a lot of sponsors. I've got Premier Nutrition, look after all my foods, Keep Fit Darling, VIP clothing. Fit Boss does me a strength conditioning. Mark Higgins, great guy. Carney Boxing is my boxing coach. He puts all the time in the world into me. Gets me in top shape and gets me ready all the time. I just want to thank all my fans that continue to support me and follow me all over the country wherever I'm boxing. Big things to come for me. Stay locked in 2019.
Exactly, and I'll echo that. I mean, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on the channel, Troy. And I mean, I wish you all the best. And obviously, you're ticking over stage at the moment. And I hope when the fight news does come, you know, it's a big opponent. And I wish you all the best with preparations for your next outing.
Yeah, thank you very much, Walt.
It's been an absolute pleasure, mate. Thomas Lyons, Raps on TV, Troy Williamson. Great to get you on the channel, champ. And take care of yourself and all the best.
Thanks for having me on. Cheers.
Nice one. Thanks very much, Troy.